as my classmate Oscar asked me about Marvel Comics, I remembered something he said about superheroes looking like us, him Latino, me negro. At that moment, I throw my head back again and cry aloud. I say, wind, blow. And it does. It moves the trees and the leaves past the light. And I know then, I say to myself, don't do that again, Tarell. You are magic. I thank you for inviting me here to reveal secrets I have been trying my whole life to unearth, that I have magic, and I am not alone. Secrets that have made me know that there is something to this otherness that goes beyond with whom I lay for pleasure principles. Miss Janet, if you nasty, isn't the only thing that made me understand a kind of lost art, a lost magic. But there are so many questions I have, and I hope we can begin a dialogue. I hope that we can always promote and find and define a safe space for our Black queer Salem, as it were. But more than that, we need a safe space for dangerous ideas. For these ideas, ideas of power not connected to the logos or ethos of patriarchy, are dangerous. And for this, we must first look to our mothers, or aunties, assigned and trans. The working of magic has always been circular, connected to the moon, east, connected to Yemaya, Elegua, Ogun, Oshun, and Oya. And they remember the old way, give us old way, yes, old way.
Yes.
Slicing the air and flailing in the new wave vogue can feel like science. The acuity and posing and summoning of old way, old vogue, all is a conjuring. All is a cauldron, boiling, bubbling, toil and troubling. Hell, if you don't believe me, ask Willie Ninja. Go see him on the clips of the YouTube, gritty and frail. That language of his body, it remembers us. It reminds us that the sorcerers among us that are gone and come. It remembers the heyday when the scarlet letter AIDS, that all Broadway and ballet and music and art could not take away. And now we wait on this side of death. We dance steps by Ulysses Dove's episodes, hoping it will send us forget-me-nots, hoping to remember. A parable from the mother's board. Sitting with my best friend's grandmother, a conservative Black woman on the south side of Chicago, I mentioned something about a drag ball, and she said, oh, we had those. I thought she was mistaken. I thought she meant a cotillion or a Jack and Jill coming out party. She didn't bat an eye at my assumption. She then began to recount the life of her husband's brother, how he had always been a little that way, and not like Wale. And in the dark of night, in the corners of an even more segregated Chicago in the 50s to late 60s, this man, this wizard of a brother-in-law, founded the most fantastic dress-up parties where they gave rewards to the best and most fabulous dress. We all knew he was that way, she said. And the men who attended, they were that way too. That's why he and my husband didn't talk, she said. But I knew if I went to the parties and I spent time with him, that could be a way of keeping them connected. That was my way of keeping them together. She was using her Black woman magic to bind. It's a binding spell. Why didn't she tell us this before, I asked. My best friend, who identifies as straight, grew up thinking his uncle was straight as well. And her simple answer to our question was, you never asked me. We must ask. We must chant. We must use our binding spells. We must ask the Dream Girls, the Jennifer Hollidays, the Arnisha Walkers, the Felicia Rashads, their recollection of their own magic, and how, when that show was in its heyday, the men around them in the chorus and in the van were dying, sometimes in their arms. They exchanged or asked them to hide their magic. Don't let them see me any kind of way out there. Don't let them see me like this. We must ask Judith Jamison where Alvin hid his magic. For there is a young course of magic makers who need his lost art. We could open a Hogwarts with the hidden tombs and Dead Sea Scrolls, scriptures left by the great generation. Let us gather together down by the shore as Marie Laveau had on St. John's Day and wash our sins, our forgetting that we are God's away. Drink up and remember our self-possession. Catechism. Possession in the West African cosmology is a little different than most. The belief that when you are possessed, you are being invaded by another spirit foreign from your own is actually more Catholic. It's more Greco-Roman. The gods, petty and all, Zeus and Kronos taking over your form and making you do their bidding is more Western. But the gods of the Yoruba are a bit more nuanced. They believe you are a part of the 1001 that make up the entire universe, and that when you are possessed, or when you are being possessed, you are actually more yourself in that moment than you are at any other time in your life. And that is a charge to keep. A charge to keep I have. A charge every day to be more possessed of myself and more connected to the 1001 than I ever will be, than I ever have. It is a dark art to leave pieces of ourselves out. It is like the Horcrux in Harry Potter, snatching parts of your soul and storing them elsewhere. He who shall not be named has spent years hoping that electroshock therapy would make us never remember the spells buried deep within. So we hide ourselves from ourselves. Here is the new Leviticus. It is the job of the scribes, the Levites of the ballroom, to carry the ark of the covenant of God, which shall not be touched by hands that are not legendary, honey. It will turn to ash in the mouths of those who speak it garbled with the incessant accent of misogyny, transphobia, or any other such villainy. These same boys who beat me bloody for lack of masculinity and melanin now sigh shade and tea in the barbershop. I bet you Pepper LaBeija is rolling over in her
Yes. Yes.
We must dig up our Dead Sea Scrolls, the ceremonies left by Essex, the chant that black men loving each other is a revolutionary act. That's your Patronus charm, Harry Potter. Wave it. Practice the God watching of Hurston, the lamentations of Lord, and the balm and bulk of Baldwin. We must look to our deep womb man made magic, as well as our sissy sorcery, to put a spell on you because you mine. What ancient sacred chants have we lost to the white way? What banjee beats that cultivated rhythms and cadence with the moon do we now allow the blue-eye-worn wearers to mock and denigrate? When they call her Auntie Maxine, they abuse her magic. When we call her Auntie, we hold up her doxology.
Yeah.
There was a generation of witches and wizards gathered around a fire and burned alive by a disease that quickly became curable for others. And now it is quietly, alarmingly, rounding up the Abiko children marked with divinity and twin-souledness. What potions have we prepared for them? What bodily healing and rites of spring have we gathered to anoint the newly sick, to bring back the broken to life? I say again, don't forget your magic, as Solange sang. We must needs reinvent our alchemy, our philosophy of bringing elements together to make artistry. Let us leave a legacy of what it truly means to be legendary. Lately, we seem to praise and worship the stunt queen. That shock and awe agent of change won't help us. But when you are both mother and father of the house, and we learned this from our sisters then, why be one when you can be more than enough for you? Ask Aaliyah.
Yeah.
One night I smelled the ocean, all the way in landlocked Liberty City, where I am from. I began to walk east towards the shore, a 50-minute walk easily done for a teenager with no car, looking for the night air to bring on its creatures. As I walked, wishing for trouble to smell me, the ocean grew stronger in my nose. As it did, a car rolled past me once, then twice, and like the cool blue Cadillac of this drug dealer daddy issue, I ran into the nearest coffee shop. I knew that John was following me, but he wouldn't follow me here, yes? As I sat down to drink of something, he sat in front of me dressed in white and said, Yemaya is calling you. Yes? I nodded, not knowing how he knew the deity of the ocean had filled my nose. He said, don't run now, little black. You are magic. Thank you.